Turkey Trouble by Wendy Silvano. Illustrated by Lee Harper. Turkey was in trouble. Bad trouble. The kind of trouble where it's almost Thanksgiving and you're the main course. But Turkey had an idea. What if he didn't look like a turkey? What if he looked like a horse? Surely Farmer Jake wouldn't eat a horse for Thanksgiving. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a horse. Almost.
Moo,
said Cow.
stop horsing around, Turkey.
How'd you know it was me? Moaned Turkey.
Too short,
said Cow. Gobble, gobble, grumbled Turkey. But looking at Cow gave Turkey a new idea. Surely Farmer Jake wouldn't eat a cow for Thanksgiving. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a cow. Almost.
Oink, 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 snorted Pig. Holy cow! Is that you, Turkey?
How'd you know it was me? Groaned Turkey.
Too skinny,
said Pig. Gobble, gobble, grumbled Turkey. But looking at Pig gave Turkey a new idea. Surely Farmer Jake wouldn't eat a pig for Thanksgiving. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a pig. Almost. Bah, bah, bleated Sheep. Quit being a ham, Turkey. How'd you know it was me? Wailed Turkey. Too clean, said Sheep. Gobble, gobble, grumbled Turkey. But looking at Sheep gave Turkey a new idea. Surely Farmer Jake wouldn't eat a sheep for Thanksgiving. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a sheep. Almost. Cock-a-doodle-doo, crowed Rooster. Bad idea, Turkey. How'd you know it was me? Howled Turkey. Too brown, squawked Rooster. Gobble, gobble, grumbled Turkey. But looking at Rooster gave Turkey a new idea. In fact, it was his best idea yet. He already looked a lot like a rooster. This costume would be easy. Surely Farmer Jake wouldn't eat a rooster for Thanksgiving. Or would he? Rooster might be his next choice, Turkey worried. Since roosters and turkey look so much alike. Oh, gobble, gobble. Farmer Jake came into the barn. Turkey! 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 Come out wherever you are. Where's the turkey? Asked Farmer Jake's wife. I don't know, he said. I looked everywhere. Oh dear. What will we do without a turkey for Thanksgiving? Well, we could always eat a rooster, I guess. Oh no, not Rooster, thought Turkey. He looked around desperately for one more idea. Then he found it. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, it was Turkey's best yet. Ding dong. Happy Thanksgiving. Did you order a pizza? Asked Farmer Jake's wife. Nope, he said, but it's a good idea. So they all sat down and gobbled up the pizza. And it was Turkey's best Thanksgiving ever.
Turkey Goes to School by Wendy Silvano, illustrated by Lee Harper. The first day of school was fast approaching. Max and Millie were super excited, and so were the animals on Farmer Jake's farm, especially since the first week's theme was Farm Days. They were certain they would be invited. Stories, counting, singing, painting, said Turkey. It all sounds so fun. I can't wait to go. Each day, Turkey got his pals to practice their school skills so they'd be ready. They wrote their names, counted corn kernels, read stories, and even tried out recess games. But when the big day came, they were booted off the bus.
"Critters aren't allowed at school,"
said Millie.
"You need to stay at the farm."
"Gobble, gobble," groaned Turkey. "We just have to go to school. We can't miss out on all that fun."
"Well then,"
said Horse,
"let's giddy up and go."
When the animals arrived, teachers were talking, children were chasing, parents were taking pictures. "It's too bad critters aren't allowed in class," said Sheep.
"It's total hogwash,"
grunted Pig.
"Turkey, why don't we team up to sneak you in? And then maybe you can get us in."
"Gobbly good idea," said Turkey. "I think I know just what to do. No one will notice an extra backpack in the bunch." His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a backpack. Almost. "Totally foolish, Turkey," said Max. "Critters aren't allowed at school. Pack it up and head back to the farm." "Gobble, gobble," moaned Turkey. "I've got to find a way in." Rooster peeked in the window. "They're starting story time. A book disguise might doodle-do, he said. Turkey agreed. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a book. Almost. "We'll create a little distraction out here while you book it inside," said Sheep. Turkey stayed quiet and still during the story.
"Can we read that one next?"
asked a girl, pointing right at Turkey. The teacher looked.
"That's no book. Turkey, I'm paging the principal. Critters aren't allowed at school. You're bound for the farm."
Turkey bolted outside. "Gobble, gobble," he howled. "I need a better disguise." "It's almost recess," said Horse. "Maybe it's a good chance to blend in with the group." "Score," said Turkey. "A ball is sure to get me in the game." His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a soccer ball. Almost. The kids came running out to the playground. Horse bucked Turkey up in the air, and Cow head-butted him into the middle of the crowd. "Goal!" "Cool, jumbo soccer!" cried a boy. Turkey was dizzy and dinged. He teetered and tottered right into Millie.
"I call a foul,"
cried Millie.
"Turkeys aren't allowed at school. Roll on home."
"Gobble, gobble, gobble," grumbled Turkey. "How am I ever going to get inside?" "Maybe you can make your move as a lunch lady in the cafeteria," said Cow. "Brilliant," said Turkey. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a lunch lady. Almost. Pig pilfered a cart filled with food. Turkey pushed it right into the serving line and began to parcel out pizza. "Cheese turkey," hollered the head lunch lady. "No one is swallowing that disguise. Critters aren't allowed at school. Out, out, out!" Turkey trudged outside. "I just don't get it," squawked Rooster. "It's farm days. We should be front and center." "That's it," cried Turkey. "I have the perfect plan." The principal poked her head in the classroom. "You have special guest visitors for farm days," she said. "Farmer Jake and his animals are going to sing a song with you." Turkey and his pals walked to the front of the classroom. Turkey sang out, "Farmer Jake, he had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he had a turkey, E-I-E-I-O. With a gobble gobble here and gobble gobble there, here a gobble, there a gobble, everywhere a gobble gobble." The children cheered. "Can we sing some more?" Millie asked. She looked at the teacher hopefully. So did Turkey and his pals. Critters still aren't allowed at school, but I suppose they can be our special farm guests this afternoon. So Turkey and his pals stayed, and it was a farm-tastic first and last day of school. Turkey Trick or Treat by Wendy Salvano, illustrated by Lee Harper. The moon was full, the air was crisp. It was a perfect Halloween night. Turkey and the other animals watched the trick-or-treaters come and go at Farmer Jake's house. Ding dong!
Trick or treat!
Oh, you look so cute! I mean, spooky, said Farmer Jake's wife, Edna. Here are some special Halloween treats for you. Plip, plip, plop. Edna gave out treats. The animals all stared. Oh, how they loved treats. It's utterly unfair, complained Cow. Why can't we trick or treat too?
We don't have any costumes,
Pig grunted. Turkey is great at making costumes, crowed Rooster. Maybe he can get candy for us. The animals all looked at Turkey. Suddenly, Turkey had an idea. I'll be a gobble gobble ghost. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a ghost. Almost. He floated all the way to Farmer Ben's house. Ding dong! Turkey shivered and shook. Trick or treat! Farmer Ben's son looked at Turkey. I can see through this trick. Halloween treats aren't for turkeys. I'm booting you out. Oh, gobble, gobble, grumbled Turkey. Turkey needed a new costume. What now? He asked the other animals. Plip, plip, plop. How about a ballerina? Bleated Sheep. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a ballerina. Almost. Turkey danced all the way to Farmer Jones' house. Ding dong! Turkey did a perfect pirouette. Trick or treat!
Well, this trick is too much,
said Farmer Jones' daughter.
Turkeys don't get treats. Go leap with the sheep.
Oh, gobble, gobble, groaned Turkey. I need a better idea. Plip, plip, plop. Shiver moo timbers. How about a pirate? Said Cow. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a pirate. Almost. He sailed all the way to Farmer Fred's house. Ding dong! Turkey swashbuckled his sword. Trick or treat! Yo ho, hold on, said Farmer Fred. No treats for turkeys. You can't hook me. Oh, gobble, gobble, moaned Turkey. Who has a better idea? Plip, plip, plop. I've got it. The neighbors would love a superhero, said Horse. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a superhero. Almost. He zoomed all the way to Farmer Ann's house. Ding dong! Turkey stood tall, puffed up his chest, and flapped his cape in the breeze. Trick or treat!
I don't need x-ray vision to see this trick,
Farmer Ann said.
Halloween treats are not for turkeys. Fly away.
Oh, gobble, gobble, howled Turkey. I'll never get any candy. Time was running out. The animals rushed to think of more costumes, but nothing seemed right. Until... Ding dong! Mabel Mayberry squinted at Turkey through her thick glasses. Before he could say a word, she exclaimed, Well, fluff my feathers! I've never seen such a marvelous costume. You look so real. You can have all the rest of my treats. Plip, plip, plop, kerplunk. Treats are for turkeys. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Happy Halloween, called Turkey. And treats are for pigs and sheep and cows and horses and roosters too, he said. It was the best Halloween ever. The end. Thanks for watching, and happy Halloween. Turkey's Eggcellent Easter by Wendy Salvano, illustrated by Lee Harper. The sun was bright, the air was fresh. It was a perfect spring morning. Turkey read the sign one more time.
Easter Egg Hunt, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Find one of the special eggs to win an extra special prize. This is gobble gobble great, said Turkey. I wonder what the extra special prize is. I heard something about chocolate and jelly beans, said Cow. Yum, whinnied Horse. We've got to get one of those eggs.
But animals aren't allowed at the egg hunt, grunted Pig. It's just for kids.
If they don't know we're there, we won't get the boot, said Sheep.
Turkey, said Cow, you go in disguise and snoop out one of those eggs. We'll stay camouflaged and be your backup.
How exciting, crowed Rooster. A secret mission. Gobbly good idea, said Turkey. I'll be a rabbit. No one will notice an extra rabbit hopping around. The day of the egg hunt arrived, and Turkey's costume wasn't bad. In fact, he looked just like a rabbit. Almost. He kept a sharp eye as he hopped around and around the park. Finally, he spotted a special egg behind a rock. Target straight ahead, 6 hops, he whispered to Cow. Move in, whispered Cow. Copy that, said Turkey. Hop, hop, hop. Alert, alert, child approaching, whispered Cow. Turkey froze.
Some bunny's in big trouble,
said the child.
This egg hunt is for kids. Hop on out of here.
Oh, gobble, gobble, grumbled Turkey. Psst! Time for a new disguise, Turkey, said Pig. Turkey looked around. I know exactly what to do. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a daffodil. Almost. He zigged and zagged and zagged and zigged. Psst, whispered Horse. I think I spy a special egg over by the bench. Copy that, said Turkey. He carefully inched his way over and planted himself next to the bench. There it was. Turkey leaned and reached out to grab the egg. Mabel Mayberry glanced down.
Oh, what an extremely beautiful flower. I think I will take it home for my Easter bouquet.
Abort, abort, whispered Sheep. Turkey bolted just before he got plucked. Gobble, gobble! Thwarted again, groaned Turkey. I've got to find one of the special eggs before they're all gone. Psst, whispered Rooster. I spy a special egg up on top of the slide. We've got to get you up there undetected. Copy that, said Turkey. I think I have an idea. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a bumblebee. Almost. Ready? Asked Horse. I gobble gobble guess, said Turkey. Fire away! Turkey sailed through the air. Plop, slide, splat. Some sting's not right here, scolded Farmer Jake. No turkeys allowed at the egg hunt. Buzz your way back to the barn. Oh, gobble, 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 moaned Turkey. Our mission has been sabotaged at every turn. I'm no eggspert, said Rooster, but maybe to get a special egg, you have to be one. Excellent idea, said Turkey. All the animals agreed. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a special egg. Almost. On your mark, crowed Rooster. Get set. Roll! Turkey was rolled from cow to horse to pig to sheep to the middle of the action. But before he could look around for a special egg, he was nabbed. I found one, cried Max. I found a giant special egg. At the prize table, Max turned in his special egg. Farmer Jake and Edna looked at Turkey. Then they looked at each other and laughed and laughed. "This is truly an extra special egg," Farmer Jake said to Max. "I think maybe you and your egg can each choose a prize." And they did. One giant chocolate bunny, pizza with jelly bean topping. "Mission accomplished," said Turkey. "What an excellent Easter." The end. Thanks for watching, and happy Easter.
Turkey's Valentine Surprise by Wendy Salvano, illustrated by Lee Harper. It was Valentine's Day, and all the animals on Farmer Jake's farm were exchanging cards and treats. Turkey pulled a card out of his Valentine box. His waddle wiggled with delight as he read the note. "Dear Turkey, you are like no otter, from a secret admirer." "Ooh, how utterly clever," said Turkey. "Valentines from a secret admirer are the most fun." He shook his tail feathers. "I'm going to make one for each of my pals, and I will deliver them in disguise so they stay secret." Turkey was determined to make valentines that were just as clever as the one he'd gotten. He just needed some inspiration. Then he found it. Perfect. "I know just the disguise to go with this Valentine," said Turkey. "Rooster, you're perfect. From a secret admirer." Rooster won't pay any attention to a cat passing by. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a cat. Almost. Inch by inch, he crept closer to Rooster's Valentine box. Just as he slipped the card inside, Rooster flew down and grabbed it. "I have a feeling that you're not a cat. You're Turkey," said Rooster. "But what a clever Valentine." "Oh, gobble, gobble," moaned Turkey. "I wanted it to be a secret surprise." "Sorry," said Rooster. "Maybe I can surprise Horse," said Turkey. "But first I need a new card idea." "How about this?" said Rooster. "Perfect," said Turkey. "I know just a disguise to go with this. Horse won't notice an extra dog running around the farm." "Horse, you're doggone delightful. From a secret admirer." His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a dog. Almost. Rooster threw a ball toward Horse's Valentine box. "Fetch!" he crowed. Turkey ran on all fours the best he could. Woof, woof! He dropped the Valentine into Horse's box, grabbed the ball, and hid behind a bush to watch what would happen. Horse read the card and peeked behind the bush. "You might as well come out, Turkey," he said. "I know it's you, but thanks for the nice Valentine."
"Oh, gobble, gobble," groaned Turkey. "I wanted it to be a secret surprise."
"Sorry," said Horse. "Maybe I can help you surprise someone else. Who's next?"
"Cow," said Turkey. "Just give me a minute to find another idea." Turkey scoured the ground. "This one's it," he declared. "Totally awesome." "Cow, you're totally awesome. From a secret admirer." He made Cow's Valentine. "I know just the disguise to go with this. Cow would think nothing of seeing a toad hopping around the farm." His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a toad. Almost. "Turkeys aren't good hoppers," Turkey told Horse. "Will you help me reach Cow's Valentine box?" Just as Turkey was about to put the card in Cow's box, Horse hit a bump. Fa-thud! Cow shook her head.
"What's up, Turkey? Why do you look like a toad?"
"Oh, gobble, gobble, gobble," wailed Turkey. "I just wanted to give all my pals secret surprise Valentine cards, but they've all been ruined." Cow read the card.
"But this is still a wonderful Valentine,"
she said.
"How about I help you deliver sheep's and pig's cards? They're both in the barn."
That would be gobble gobble great, said Turkey. An owl shouldn't have any problem sneaking a valentine into their boxes. They probably won't even look up. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like an owl. Almost. Sheep, you're a hoot. From a secret admirer. Pig, I'm tellin' you, you're cool. From a secret admirer. Cow and Turkey stealthily made their way up to the hayloft in the barn. Cow held tight to the rope as she lowered Turkey down, bit by bit. Turkey swung left. Turkey swung right. He was almost there. Achoo! Fwump! Sheep looked over at Pig. Is it owl in my head, or did Turkey just fall from the sky? Pig picked up the fallen valentines and gave Sheep hers. Cool valentines, Turkey. Thank you, said Pig. Turkey sighed. I gobble gobble give up. I wanted you all to get surprise secret valentines because they're the most fun. But you all found out they were from me. Your valentines were still great, said Sheep. And so clever, said Cow. We've loved them, said Pig. Us too, said Rooster and Horse. Turkey trudged over to his box and plopped down. Maybe next year I can surprise them. He decided to distract himself from his disappointment by reading his own valentines. Then he saw a heart that gave him one last idea. That's it, screeched Turkey. I've got to hurry. The Valentine's dance starts in just 2 hours. Turkey peeked into the barn. No one was there yet. He delivered his secret surprise and hustled away unseen. I love you all to pizzas. From a secret admirer. At the dance, everyone was delighted with the delicious pizza. Turkey couldn't keep from smiling. No one will ever know it was me, he said. This is the most clever Valentine surprise ever. The end. Thanks for watching, and happy Valentine's Day. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Turkey Claus by Wendy Silvano, illustrated by Lee Harper. Thanksgiving was over, and Turkey was safe. But then he overheard Farmer Jake and his wife, Edna, talking about what to have for Christmas dinner. And guess who was at the top of the list?
I do love a nice turkey dinner,
Said Edna. Oh no, thought Turkey, not again. But Turkey had an idea. The children had mailed their Christmas wishes to Santa Claus. Maybe Turkey could ask Santa for a Christmas wish too. A wish that he would not be eaten for Christmas dinner. But it was too late to mail his wish to Santa. Turkey would have to go see Santa himself. Turkey arrived at Santa's village. Excuse me, said Turkey, where can I find Santa? No one sees Santa the day before Christmas, said an elf. He's too busy making his list and checking it twice. Oh, gobble, gobble, said Turkey. But looking around gave Turkey a new idea. What if he didn't look like a turkey? What if he looked like a Christmas tree? Surely a Christmas tree could get to see Santa. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a Christmas tree. Almost. Ho, ho, hold it, cried the elf. No turkeys in Santa's village. You have to go back to the farm. How'd you know it was me? Asked Turkey. Trees don't have legs, said the elf. Oh, gobble, gobble, groaned Turkey. Turkey looked around again. I've got it, he thought. Surely a reindeer could get to see Santa. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a reindeer. Almost. Halt your hooves, cried an elf. No turkeys allowed in Santa's village today. You'll have to go back to the farm. How could you tell it was me? Asked Turkey. Reindeer don't have wings, said the elf.
Oh, gobble, gobble, moaned Turkey. I've got to see Santa. Turkey looked around for another idea. Candy was being loaded into Santa's sleigh. I've got it, he thought. Surely a candy cane would be allowed inside with Santa. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a candy cane. Almost. Wait a merry minute, cried an elf. Turkeys are not candy. You have to go back to the farm. How could you tell it was me? Asked Turkey. Candy canes don't have beaks, said the elf. Oh, gobble, gobble, howled Turkey. I just have to get in to see Santa. Turkey looked around and around. He saw Miss Claus bringing a plate of cookies to the elves. Surely Miss Claus could get in to see Santa. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like Miss Claus. Almost. Turkey walked right up to Santa's house. An elf opened the door. "Snow way," said the elf. "No turkey is getting in here today." "How'd you recognize me?" wailed Turkey. "Miss Claus doesn't have feathers," said the elf. "Oh, gobble, gobble, gobble," Turkey sighed. "I'm almost out of time. I'll never get to ask Santa for my wish." Turkey looked around desperately for one last idea. Then he saw it. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, it was his best yet. Ding dong! An elf brought in the box. "What's this?" said Santa. "A present for me?" Out popped Turkey. "Merry Christmas," he cried. "Gobble, gobble." "Ho, ho, ho." "Ha, ha, ha," laughed Santa. "What are you doing here, Turkey?" Turkey explained his Christmas wish. Santa smiled. "I think I have just the right disguise for you." And he did. It was Turkey's best Christmas ever.
Turkey's Birthday Bash by Wendy Silvano, illustrated by Lee Harper. Turkey sat slumped at the side of the barn. His wattle wilted. "Why so blue?" asked Sheep. "I've been dreaming about my birthday for weeks," said Turkey. "I know it sounds cheesy, but nothing would top a pizza party. But gobble, gobble, no one even seems to know today's my birthday." "Wow, happy birthday, Turkey," said Pig. "From us too," said Horse, Cow, and Rooster. "Cheer up," said Sheep. "Farmer Jake's family is up to something in the backyard. Maybe it's a party for you." "Oh, gobble, gobble," cried Turkey. "Do you think it could be a pizza party?" "I don't know," said Sheep, "but I've heard whispering about something super spectacular." Turkey's tail feathers shook with delight. "I've got to get a peek at it." "That's a bad idea," said Sheep. "What if they see you?" "But I can't wait," said Turkey. "I will go in disguise." "As what?" said Sheep. "One extra cupcake won't be noticed," said Turkey. "Sweet plan," said Sheep. "I'll help." His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a cupcake. Almost. When Farmer Jake went inside, Turkey slipped through the side gate. But then,
"Turkey, this really takes the cake,"
Edna said.
"We're busy with something here. You better go back to the barn."
"Oh, gobble, gobble," said Turkey. "I need to see if it's a pizza party." "What happened?" asked Pig. "I got iced out. I need a different disguise." Said Pig. "An extra candle wouldn't stand out." "Bright idea," said Turkey. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a candle. Almost.
Pig helped Turkey sneak over to the perfect spying spot. Turkey stretched to peek out from the top. But then,
Millie,
called Edna,
bring me the matches. I want to test out one of those new candles to make sure they're easy to light.
Turkey jumped up and bolted and ran smack into Millie. "That's as fire as you go," cried Millie. "Blow on out of here and go back to the barn." "Oh, gobble, gobble," moaned Turkey. "I really want to see if they're throwing me a pizza party." "I've got lots-arella ideas to get you in," crowed Rooster. "If it is a party, they'll need games. Pin the tail on the donkey is perfect. How about I doodle-doo you up a donkey costume quick? Remember, once you're in place, you can't move." "Gobble, gobble, got it," said Turkey. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a donkey. Almost. Rooster knew just how to distract the family while Turkey snuck in. "I'm really going to get a kick out of this," said Turkey. "No one will be able to tell it's me." "Except me," cried Max. "Hee ha ha ha. Not funny, Turkey. You should go back to the barn." "Oh, gobble, gobble, gobble," wailed Turkey. "It's time to think outside the pizza box. There must be some way I can get in without getting caught." "If you were a piñata, you could look down on everything without being noticed," said Cow. "Gobbly good thinking," said Turkey. "That's a wacky idea. It just might work." His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a piñata. Almost. "Hang on while we get you up there," whispered Cow. But then, snap! Ka-thud! Thump, thump, thump. Turkey's friends rushed toward him. "Are you hurt?" asked Horse. "No," grumbled Turkey. "But gobble, gobble, I didn't see anything super spectacular. Or any pizza. I don't even think the party is for me. Some birthday this is." "Well," said Sheep, "maybe we can try to make your birthday fun." "Okay," said Turkey. He trudged back to the barn. Pretty soon, Max came along. "Come to the backyard, everyone. We've got lunch." Turkey and the whole farm crew followed Max. "Surprise! Happy birthday, Turkey!" Turkey's eyes grew wide as he took in the scene. There were decorations, games, cupcakes, and ice cream. "This is super nice," Turkey whispered to Sheep. "It's too bad there's no pizza, though." "Turkey," said Edna, "we want your day to be spectacular, and for you to have all the pizza you want on your big day. So we have a super special gift for you." "Beep, beep, beep. What is it?" said Turkey. "Holy Stromboli," said Cow. All the farm friends cheered. "You said it," hollered Turkey. "Trust me, this is going to be the most super spectacular birthday ever." And it was. The end. Thanks for watching. Turkey's Sandtastic Beach Day by Wendy Salvano, illustrated by Lee Harper. The Summer Children's Festival was in full swing. Farmer Jake made a special trip with his farm animals. Turkey and his pals loved kids, and they were happy to be there. Mostly. But the sand looked so soft and warm, and the waves looked so foamy and fun. "Oh, how I would love to be down there," moaned Turkey. "I've never even had a chance to walk on a beach." "So, long time no see?" Rooster laughed. "Bad joke," said Sheep. We'd all like to be down there. Well, I'm going, said Turkey, just for a few minutes. No one will know it's me, said Turkey. I'll be a crab. Who will help? I'm sure I can figure something out, said Pig. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a crab. Almost. Pig and Turkey slipped away from the petting zoo and sand tunneled down to the beach. I'll stay here and grunt if Farmer Jake comes, said Pig. Remember to walk sideways. Turkey scuttled across the sand. Ah, he said, this is utterly crabulous. But then, snap, said the lifeguard. You're not a crab, you're a turkey. Farmer Jake is looking for you. You better get back up to the petting zoo. Oh, gobble, gobble, groaned Turkey. So much for beach combing. What can I do on the beach that Farmer Jake won't notice? No one pays attention to sunbathers, said Sheep. You might as well try that. I'll help. What an outstanding idea, said Turkey. I know just the disguise. I'll be a seashell and just lie there. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a seashell. Almost. Sheep helps Turkey sneak down to the perfect spot for sunbathing. Oh, gobbled Turkey as he soaked up some sun rays. I love the beach. But then, "Sunbelievable," said Farmer Jake. What are you doing on the beach, Turkey? Turkey shrugged. I'm just taking a little siesta. Farmer Jake shook his finger. Well, it's official. You are going to the petting zoo. Oh, gobble, gobble, howled Turkey. So much for sunbathing. Turkey sighed as he watched the beachgoers having fun. Those surfers sure have some pretty cool moves, said Cow. You would probably be good at surfing, Turkey. What a whale of an idea, said Turkey. Help me make a disguise, Cow. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a surfer dude. Almost. Cow and Turkey waited until a crowd of surfers passed by. Cow shoved Turkey into the group and whispered, Hang 10. Turkey paddled hard, then stood on the board. This is epic, he hollered. But then, the lifeguard looked down at Turkey. I'm getting tired of finding you on the beach, he said, and I'm bored of having to chase you back to the petting zoo. Oh, gobble, 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 yowled Turkey. So much for surfing. I'll never get to enjoy the beach. Horse stamped his hoof. Hold your horses. You can go snorkeling. No one will notice you under the water. Turkey's eyes went wide, especially if I look like a shark. I am a good swimmer. Help me out, horse. His costume wasn't bad. In fact, Turkey looked just like a shark. Almost. Horse had the perfect plan for getting Turkey to the water. Have a jawsome time, shouted Horse as Turkey floated away. I'll watch for Farmer Jake. Turkey swished and swashed his tail as he swam round and round. But then, shark! Another shark? Yikes! Everyone bolted from the water, including Turkey. I thought something fishy was going on here, said Farmer Jake. Turkey, you're finished. Get back to the petting zoo. Turkey trudged back to the boardwalk. Farmer Jake kept a close eye on the animals. But then... Gobble, gobble, whispered Turkey. Here's our chance. There's a sand sculpture contest going on right now, said Rooster. We could doodle-do one pretty quick if we all help. That's a gobbly great idea, said Turkey. When Farmer Jake awoke, he didn't see his animals until... The judges declared Turkey Town the winning sand sculpture. "And the grand prize," said the announcer, "is a free stay at a house on your own private beach." Turkey and his pals cheered. Farmer Jake just shook his head and laughed. When Turkey and his friends got to the private beach, they invited everyone to join them. It was the most Sandtastic beach day ever. The end. Thanks for watching.